1. France has a larger land area than the whole of the United Kingdom, but it's less populous. Man, that's crazy. France is actually bigger than the UK by land area, but there are fewer people living there. The UK has almost the same population, even though it's way smaller geographically. 2. French people don't actually eat croissants for breakfast. Wait, hold up. Croissants for breakfast? Well, not really. Most French people actually go for something simpler, like a baguette with butter or jam. Croissants are more of a mid-morning treat or brunch item. Who knew? 3. The Eiffel Tower was almost torn down. You won't believe this. The Eiffel Tower was originally supposed to be torn down after 20 years. They were planning to demolish it, but luckily it became essential for radio transmission, so they kept it. Talk about a lucky save. 4. French fries are actually Belgian, not French. Man, this one's a kicker. French fries, they're actually Belgian. It was Belgian villagers who invented fries in the 1600s, not the French. Makes you rethink your whole fries bail routine, right? 5. French wine isn't always expensive, so you think French wine is always pricey? Nah, think again. France has a ton of affordable, high-quality wines. You don't always have to break the bank for a great bottle from the Languedoc or other regions. 6. The French don't always drink wine with meals. You'd think every meal in France comes with a glass of wine, but nope. Many French folks actually stick to water with their meals. Wine is reserved for weekends, special occasions, or just casual leisurely dinners. 7. France doesn't have a single national dish. So France doesn't have a single national dish. Yup. It's all about regional specialties. Think coq au vin in Burgundy, bouillabaisse in Provence, or quiche in Lorraine. Every part of the country has its own culinary identity. 8. The Louvre Museum was once a palace for kings. Here's a cool twist. The Louvre wasn't always a museum. It was originally a royal palace. Can you imagine the kings and queens hanging out where art lovers now roam? 9. The French Revolution wasn't just about liberty and equality. The French Revolution was about more than just liberty and equality. It was also sparked by real economic struggles, famine, high taxes, and debt from all those wars. Definitely not your average freedom fight. 10. The French eat more cheese than any other country, yet their health outcomes are better than the U.S. Hold up. How do the French eat so much cheese, like 25 kgs per person a year, but still live longer and have lower obesity rates than Americans? Some kind of French paradox going on here? Maybe it's all about moderation and a good lifestyle? 11. The baguette is a relatively new invention. Baguettes is such a French symbol, right? But believe it or not, they're a relatively recent invention. Only really became popular in the early 20th century. It's a pretty modern twist on a centuries-old tradition. 12. France has a national holiday for the 14th of July, but it's actually about the storming of the Bastille, not independence. You'd think Bastille Day is all about independence like the U.S. 4th of July, but nope. It's actually about the start of the French Revolution. Not quite the same vibe, but still an epic moment in history. 13. The French rarely take coffee to go. If you're in France, don't expect to see folks sipping coffee on the go. It's all about sitting down at a cafe and enjoying that espresso or café au lait. No take-out coffee culture here, just chill vibes. 14. The French Revolution's Declaration of the Rights of Man was inspired by the U.S. Constitution. Here's a crazy connection. The French Declaration of the Rights of Man was actually inspired by the U.S. Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. Talk about transatlantic influence in history. 15. French people often don't use please in requests. This one's a little odd. French people don't always use please in requests. For example, donne-moi ça, give me that, is perfectly normal, and it's not seen as rude. Directness is the name of the game. 16. French politicians can't always keep their jobs if they're too popular. This one's a real head-scratcher. French politicians sometimes lose support if they get too powerful. People start seeing them as too powerful, and then, bam, they're out of favor. Politics in France is a whole other game. 17. France once had a king who reigned for only 20 minutes. Imagine being king for just 20 minutes. That happened. King Louis XV reigned for less than half an hour in 1830 before abdicating in favor of his nephew. That's got to be some kind of record, right? 18. The French are famous for fine wines, but they often drink table wine at home. So much for all those fancy Bordeaux wines. At home, many French people actually drink vin de table daily. It's affordable, simple, and they enjoy it just as much as a bottle of Bordeaux on special occasions. A table wine doesn't have specific regional designations of origin, AOC/AOP. It is generally inexpensive and lacks the complexity and aging potential of higher-end wines. The term vin de table has since been largely replaced by vin de France since the 2010 wine law reform, though they serve a similar purpose. 19. France has more than 1,200 different types of cheese, but most French people stick to just a few. Crazy, right? France is famous for its cheese diversity, 1,200 plus types. But get this, the average French person probably only eats around 10 to 15 types regularly. They've got all that variety, yet they keep it simple. 20. The French have a long history of eating snails, but it's actually not that common. Everyone thinks of escargot when they think of French cuisine, but fun fact, most French people don't eat snails regularly. It's more of a fancy restaurant dish or something eaten on special occasions. 21. France has one of the strictest no-smoking laws, yet smoking is still popular. France is super strict about smoking laws. No smoking indoors, in restaurants, or public spaces. But here's the kicker. Smoking is still way more popular in France than in many other countries. Go figure. 22. The French are known for their fine wines, but they drink more beer than wine. Okay, so France is the land of wine, right? Not exactly. In terms of total alcohol consumption, the French actually drink more beer than wine on average, despite being known for their wine culture. 23. France is home to the world's first nude beach, but it's still pretty conservative about public nudity. France was the first country to have a public nude beach back in the 1950s. But paradoxically, it's still pretty conservative when it comes to nudity in public spaces. You won't find French people walking around topless in most areas, even though they pioneered the nude beach movement. 24. The French Revolution was actually inspired by a failed bread rebellion. It's not just about liberty, equality, and fraternity. The French Revolution was sparked by a series of food shortages, especially bread. The price of bread skyrocketed in the late 18th century, and that drove much of the discontent that led to the revolution. You can't find a French toast because it's not really French. French toast isn't actually French. In France, it's called pain perdu, lost bread, and it was made to use up stale bread. French toast as a term was likely popularized by Americans, not the French. 26. The Louvre has fewer pieces on display than you think. Okay, the Louvre is huge, right? But here's the crazy part. Even though it's considered the largest museum in the world, only about 3,5,0,0 pieces of art are on display at any given time. There's way more in storage that you never see. 27. The French are actually great at baking, but they don't do it at home much. Sure, the French are famous for their amazing pastries, breads, and desserts, but here's the twist. Most French people don't bake at home. They leave it to the pros at the local boulangerie. You can get incredible pastries fresh every day without lifting a finger. 2018. French people drink more hot chocolate than you might think, even in summer. The French love hot chocolate, especially the thick, rich kind. Think chocolat chaude. While you'd expect it to be a winter drink, it's actually enjoyed year-round, even in the summer months.